buddy of mine for way back in the day. Been with ESPN since 1993 and has been associated with the sport of baseball for almost every single one of those years. Karl Ravech back on the show. How are you, Karl?
I'm good. I'm celebrating the fact that they have just opened up a brand new Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru on Cottage Grove Road, which goes from the airport back home to where I live. So I'm kind of in a good mood about that today.
Well, do they still have the Kenny Rogers roll-in roaster that Kilborn took me through after my third sports center in Southington, Karl? Is that still there?
I'll be honest with you. Queen Street, which is the home to every single fast food entity on the planet, actually, not just in the country. I imagine it still is, but I'll be honest, I haven't frequented over Queen Street lately.
Okay, Karl.
Like you, I'm not in the studio very often anymore.
That's right. I know. You are doing such a great job describing my Michigan Wolverines going down in the College World Series. You were very gentle on that one. You did a great job doing that, and obviously so much more that you do.
That's a good program with a good leader.
Oh, you know what? I'll take it. Now, when the commissioner called the Commissioner's Trophy a hunk of metal, did you do one of those ooh moments sitting in your chair when that happened, Karl? Or was that something just later on it kind of dawned on everybody that he referred to it as that?
I think, I'll be honest with you, Rich, I think later on it kind of dawned on everybody, and there were only a handful of instances where he would do something that I would have that, well, wait a minute, that can't be right, or are you sure about that? So the hunk of metal probably slid by without me paying too much attention to it, and I probably, to some degree, understood at that point the sort of rhetorical part of what he was saying. He was making a point, as he acknowledged later, in a poor way, that if I just take away the trophy, whether it's a piece of metal or it's 24-karat gold, that to me is less symbolic than the punishment that I issued, which is to, in a sense, Hester Prynne this entire organization, and they'll be walking around with that scarlet letter for the rest of their lives.
So they kind of are anyway, though, and that's every single time you take a look at what's going on from an angle, then it twists in a way that's uncontrollable by baseball, and the twist that I honestly didn't see coming was the full-throated, angry, full-throated issues that the rest of the players in Major League Baseball are taking. Karl, is this surprising to you in any way, shape, or form?
Well, I think, it's like a tidal wave. I mean, it started to gather steam, and then you start to throw the biggest names in the game on there, and you've got the West Coast covered with Bellinger and Trout. You got the East Coast covered with all the Yankees and everyone in between. I don't think we've ever experienced, even with performance enhancers. I mean, remember when we were in the whole steroid era, that really reduced itself to the people that used, and then those that were so quiet they didn't say anything. In this case, everyone is saying something about it, and it's uniformly sort of manifested in the fact that they don't believe, and I think it's moving towards this. Forget the fact that they weren't punished as individuals. I get the sense that many players are beginning to understand with the immunity, et cetera, that wasn't going to happen. But the idea that they were cheated, I mean, look, you, me, Aaron Judge, whoever it is, have played competitively at some level. And you recognize when someone is cheating, the playing field is not level. And that infuriates you. And now, instead of what we used to do, on our own fields, these guys are doing it for millions of dollars. They're doing it for legacy. They're doing it to be World Series champions, which does, in the long run, carry a great deal of cachet when you're out speaking, when you're trying to get into the Hall of Fame, and somebody cheated them out of that. And it's not surprising that it's the best players in the game who are in that realm of MVP awards, World Series, given the teams that we've heard most of these players talk from. Those are legacy things, and somebody cheated them out of it. So I understand the venom, and I understand the anger.
Karl Ravech here on the Rich Eisen Show. I'm saying it's time for the commissioner's office to release, all the evidence that they've gotten. Like literally interviews, every single piece of evidence that they have received. I guess to use the Mueller report phrasing, I guess the 302s that the FBI has had with all the interviewees. Like, I want to see the hard, raw evidence here, because the commissioner's saying that this stuff was used in the 2017 postseason. The Astros have said that they didn't. And I understand that the players received immunity. There's no reason why they should receive anonymity unless the immunity covers that. And if the evidence shows it was used in the first round but not the World Series, shouldn't that tamp down anything coming from Los Angeles and New York? I mean, it's time to put all that in front of the fans. I wonder what you think of that, Karl.
No, I think that makes sense. I think that the stripping of a title makes a great deal of sense. I agree with the immunity, at least in my world, and I'm not a labor lawyer, and on a lot of levels, you got to remember that Rob Manfred's background is literally in labor law. This is a Harvard-educated guy. He understands the minutia of the law. He knew, in his opinion, that if he went to file grievances, he would get hammered by the Players Association. And this is such a litigious history to this sport. Most people understand when it comes to the CBA, the owners are going to win. They always do. When it comes to collusion, we got to stay away from that because the players are going to win. He believed that if we tried to go after these players publicly or got into a grievance situation because they weren't informed of the situation, that they were going to get hammered, so he chose to go the other way. Yes, 100%. I think we should. I think we would head in that direction, given that the forest fires have now become infernos. And you can see the Players Association. This is a very delicate line that these guys are both walking here because they both, I think, stand a great deal to lose. Tony Clark with the Players Association and Manfred as the commissioner. I think they both recognize they probably need each other more than they want to fight against each other because this is going to blow up in a way that I don't think they had anticipated, and it already has. So, sure, I think that he probably has let everyone know in the know. We could just release all the transcripts, if you will, which is, a term we've been used to hearing.
Yes.
But short of that, I don't understand, Rich, the idea that he's worried about Pandora's box being open. Personally, I think it's an easy one to say, look, the players have given me sort of carte blanche here to go punish other players. They're asking me to rescind the World Series trophy. After a great deal of internal conversation between my own self and Hall of Famers, and certainly the majority of players, if not unanimous amongst the players, I decided that we will take away and vacate the 2017 World Series title. So it's not really my decision. I'm acquiescing to the wishes of everybody who didn't wear an Astro uniform.
But the issue is on that is what about the Verlanders of the world? Right. I mean, it's pitching and defense, too. It's not just hitting. Right. I mean,
yeah, but what? To me, I would, in my case, be able to consciously be comfortable with drawing the line between anybody that wore the uniform because just by adding more runs to a Verlander start, he benefited from it.
It just strikes me as, man, this whole thing.
Your reaction right there, Rich, is exactly what these guys are dealing with. I promise you that interview, which he did at 7 a.m. and lasted 45 minutes, he looked just like that. Like, oh gosh, I didn't anticipate this. We're trying to clean the game up. I mean, at its core, are they trying to do something that would improve the game? Yes. We're trying to get sign stealing and electronic sign stealing out of the game. It's illegal. We don't want to allow it. At its core, this is a fundamentally smart step to take. But just your exasperation is exactly what he's dealing with, the players are dealing with, and you can hear the same way you and I did years ago at ESPN doing SportsCenter during the McGuire-Sosa era.
Right.
People get so tired of it. And we're 4 or 5 days in, and you can tell they're getting tired of it.
Karl Ravech here on the Rich Eisen Show. I guess the difference is from the steroid era and this era of this style of cheating is that it's the ultimate performance enhancer of knowing if a pitch is coming, and then you use technology
100%.
like this. And the question is what is the pound of flesh? It really is the trophy. I mean, is that what really tamp it down?
Because I think it is.
Right.
Yeah, I think it is because I just don't think that they are overly concerned. To me, these guys seem more worried about the fact that they won. Like, again, just go back to the basic tenets of competition. The playing field is supposed to be level. And these guys turned it 180 degrees on level. You know, as Trout has said, as Stanton said today, if I knew what pitch was coming, Rich Eisen would be celebrating Yankee home runs on the West Coast 80 times a year off my bat. You know, whether that's exaggerated or not, it doesn't matter. The point is, we were supposed to be playing on a level playing field, understanding the gray area that always exists when it comes to level playing field in Major League Baseball. However, in this case, this is one where every team seemed to know the line in the sand is a red line, and you can't cross it. And not only did they cross it, you know, they napalmed it, as somebody once said.
Karl Ravech here. A few more minutes left from ESPN on the Rich Eisen Show. So what's next? Obviously, the Red Sox report from the 2018 season is still to come, and baseball is just trying to get to opening day, man. Just trying to get where baseball's being played and the sport's up and running, and perhaps we're all distracted. Unless, of course, Altuve has a batting 200 in April, and Bregman has only 2 home runs by Memorial Day, or they're just lighting it up, and Dusty Baker's got this team 40-10, and they're on a you-know-what tour. So it's not really going away. Walk me through the next steps here that baseball has planned or might pop up.
Well, the two sides are working together on coming up with uniform rules about sign stealing, which, to my understanding, will include player punishments. So the sort of flesh that they're talking about, or you referred to, moving forward, there will be flesh. I think they've landed at a place. The commissioner has, unless this continues to spiral out of control, and he reverses course and says, to your point and to others, you know what, screw it. I am going after the players because I've been made to look so bad here. I am going to now go after the players, and I will figure out a way that the conduct that they were doing was detrimental to the game. There's some clause which allows me to punish people who behave in a way that's detrimental to the game, and clearly this is one of those. He could go, he could go rogue and say, "Forget it. My back's up against the wall. I'm pushing back." I think what's going to happen though is you're going to have new bylaws that will have discipline for players. They'll be significant. I think there will be new bylaws about batters getting hit by pitches. I think they will do their level best, both sides, to remove the use of video. I mean, you'd appreciate it. His point was when Rich Eisen walks off the 6th green, he doesn't go to a tent to look at his swing before he hits his tee shot on 7 and says, "Ooh, I can see that. My weight was back on my back foot." You don't have that in many sports, if any sports, and they're going to outlaw that as well. I think the Red Sox investigation yields less than the Astros does. I think he has Cora in his crosshairs anyway, and he's going to get as significant a punishment as Hinch did, if not a little bit worse, because he was probably, at least that we've been told, kind of a bad actor in all this, the guy that helped bring it to the players who then utilized it. And I think once spring training games start, you recognize that the 29 other fan bases and the players will turn their attention the same way Kershaw did yesterday to say, you know what? Will there be any greater motivation to destroy the Astros on the field than what they just did in the past? And I think it's going to be real difficult for that team to perform given the circumstances they're going to deal with everywhere they go.
Well, I appreciate the analogy to my golf game, Karl, but going to the 7th tee, I'll probably be at some comfort station because I don't put nearly as much into the game as you have for your game. What's your golf game looking like now? Are you giving strokes to the course, Karl?
I'll be honest with you. Since you and I know each other, it's just leveled off. I've never been able to get into the plus category. I'm probably a 4 or 5 right now, and it's just there, and I have such great respect for all your buddies on the tour that are, plus 7s,
right.
And Brooks Koepkas of the world. I don't know how they do that. I don't have the time to dedicate to it because while you're at the comfort station,
yes.
I'm flying to Baton Rouge, and I'm just looking forward to a good cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
So does Buchagras have the best stick at ESPN still? Is he still the guy?
I would love to, if you ever want to put together a Rich Eisen annual tournament, Butchie and I should play each other. It's rare that we do, although we have talked about it, and we did play once, I think, in the last couple of years.
And
I'm not playing naive. He may have won by 1 or 2. I may have. I totally forget the score. I really do.
You're the best, Karl. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
All right. I hope you're well. Thanks, Rich.
You bet. Back at you. That's Karl Ravech.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.